Good day, televiewers. Thanks immensely for walking our path on WAKA Africa TV here in Bamenda. We are running the program today on a very bad mood with respect to the topic we will be treating, which happens to be Mimi Mefo's case. That notwithstanding, ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned to The Lamb, and of course it's on The Lamb that we discuss pertinent and current issues, trying to see how we can shape personal ideologies into global thought. I'll be introducing to you the people I have on the panel for this day. I start with Bakah Derick. He is the president of the Northwest chapter of the Cameroon Journalists Trade Union. It's a pleasure to have you on set, sir.
Thank you very much. The pleasure is shared.
We also have Barister Richard Ndem. He is the barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Cameroon and Nigeria. It's a pleasure having you on set, sir.
The pleasure is mine.
All right, I will be diving straight into our discussion for this day. We are talking about Mimi Mefo. As a trade union, Bakah Derick, how did you receive this news?
It's been analyzed at every level of the union, from the national to the branches. We have done a proper examination of the situation, and I must put it to you that as we're struggling to examine the situation, we concluded that this was a major attack on press freedom and expression in Cameroon, and we think that it's a very shameful situation, if I must use the word. And but all the same, we are comforted by the solidarity which we've received from the entire media family. We've seen some degree of unison, which to us means a lot at this point in time. We're also comforted by the support media owners, including Equinox TV and many others. I want to cite Equinox TV because Mimi was working for Equinox TV, but then the charge that stand on her were not charges that were not connected on her duty with Equinox. But you must realize that her employer at Equinox and many others have stood by her, which is a sign that the trade union is achieving some degree of success in trying to work for the betterment of the pay and working conditions for media professionals and journalists in Cameroon. We received that it was some news received in very bad taste, but I think for now, lobbying is underway, and I'm sure for the rest of our program, we'll find out exactly where we are.
Thank you. Barrister, we have charges like dissemination of fake news, lies, that's likely to harm public authorities or national cohesion, which they say is publishable under Section 113 of the Criminal Code. What are the legal implications of such charges?
I would like to first of all say that I cue from the trade unionist that Cameroon is gradually becoming a police state. There is going to be a very serious problem if the trade unions do not take this matter as serious as they are supposed to do it. Because today it is Mimi. The next day it may be Bakah Derick or yourself. We should not encourage journalists to be manhandled, tossed left and right, and for the purpose of giving information that will suit the taste of those who are in authority, whoever that is supposed to be. You bear with me. Journalism unofficially is a fourth power. Being a fourth power, it carries a lot of power with it. For the benefit of he who runs the show, in terms of he who administers in government, and the opposition, they need this power. Now, I was wondering if Mimi had said something other than what she is being charged with, would that have asked, would they have decided to drag her to court? For instance, if she had said, Wesco was shot by the Amazonian forces, would the government have dragged her to court for getting false information? That is a very big question. Coming to the charges that are against her, it is one thing to charge somebody to court. That is what we have to understand. But the procedure and the presumption of innocence rest with her, because it is incumbent on the prosecution to prove that she actually committed the offenses for which she's been charged beyond reasonable doubt. Not on the balance of probability, but beyond reasonable doubt. Okay, it is not for Mimi to prove her innocence. Yes, it is for the prosecution to prove that she actually committed those offenses. The question now is, when we look at her declaration, does it actually have any incidences on the security of the state? Does it actually injure the personalities of government? Or I still have to get, some reasoning, except I have to go back to school to be convinced that what she has said has got anything to do with the security of her state. It is purely a simple offense, and misdemeanor, which should be tried by an ordinary civil court, not the criminal court.
Bakah, Derick, it's been said that in one of her publications of her Twitter, she did say that that Wesco was shot by security forces, and it also said that she quoted a source. What's the relationship between the profession and sources?
Well, you agree with me. You agree with me that you can professionally, if you use a source, you agree with me, you can be charged as an accomplice to a source. The lawyer is here, he can better confirm that. You can be accused for being an accomplice to that source and not being the original person when it comes to that subject. But allow me to go back to the fundamentals that protect us as media persons. I think in the foundational laws of media, of mass communication in Cameroon, I don't know whether I can quote with specification, but I should be able to do so. Of course, in about, I think it's part 5, in I think chapter 9 of the laws of mass communication in 1990 in Cameroon, we have what is generally called correction and the right to reply. Now, you agree with me that even if Mimi had said so, and someone found that as an injury, you agree with me that the simple law, the foundational law says, ask her to publish something else. You publish what you consider as the truth, because she would definitely use the same space within a specified period of time to be able to publish that.
That's a rejoinder.
But, yes, it can be a rejoinder or corrigendum if you want. But then we have a serious problem in Cameroon where we seem to have deliberately refused to accept a bill on internet governance in Cameroon, and so we're forced to go back to the foundational laws, which are only limited to print and audiovisual, and say very little about internet. And so first, we must also admit as a country that we are not moving with the test of time. And so when you are such a country and you are not moving with the test of time, at least respect the basics that you have approved. We should therefore treat the new media, which is internet as we call it, in one of the two aspects that we have. We should either treat it as a press, as the written press, or audiovisual. And by that, she would have had the right to a correction. Or whosoever feels guilty should have had the right to reply. So it is a pity that we are at that level. And you allow me to note that on matters of sources, if you were to connect the sources to her charge, she is not being charged as an accomplice in that case. Though we have about 3 publications that seems to be the same that look very similar on that same subject. There's a first publication that announces the killing of Wesco. There's a second that announces the state of affairs in Bambili, and there's a one that announces the state of affairs in Bambili that the minister seems to be quoting. And when you look at the two, I don't know whether, you could think otherwise, but I visited, if you go to her, the same post today, you realize that even the quote that the minister gave is not exactly what is there.
Exactly.
So you will definitely see with me that there could either be an intention, that there is actual an intention to attack the press at these difficult moments in Cameroon, when it is the press to be able to hold our government and even those other dissenting voices to be accountable. We must, as a press, say no to all of this, and that's what we're doing. We're saying, please allow the press to do its job. It is a message of intimidation, which we consider so, and they are sending the message and saying, do not accuse government of anything wrong. It is clear, but I put it to you that as a trade union, we are not taking this for granted. And the government is very much aware, and we are already announcing that we are boycotting our partnership. We are giving a government blackout to all events in this country for not fewer than 10 days, and it is going to be so until the government decides to follow the laws they themselves have put in place.
We have the National Communication Council, who had series of situations wherein they've stepped in to summon journalists and ask them to do corrigendums. Why is this one different? That's
where maybe the barrister will help us understand. We don't know why it is different. And you understand the situation at hand. My reading has been, Mimi had taken up the option of being on the front line of the Anglophone crisis. And for the fact that she decided to be, and you know the way many other people who have taken up options to speak aloud on this crisis have been treated, I simply just see as a situation of trying to gag her like they have done to many other people. And it is a very bad indicator for a country that tries to present itself to the world as a democratic country.
Barister, we have a charge that's to say insults against constitutional bodies and civil servants. We have incitement of the public, which is it's punishable under Section 154. This is as per the document, the legal proceedings presented to us the other day. That was on the 8th by the Minister of Communication. Many say this was supposed to be a civil case and not being dragged to the military court.
Now, before I get to that, let me do some clarifications based on what my learned friend just said. You cannot charge an accomplice without a principle. That is a cardinal principle in criminal law. And if me quoted a source, that source will be the principal, while Mimi becomes an accomplice. Okay. Rather, the charges, what we are supposing, the charges are against her as having been the author of those publications, which is not correct. Secondly, the law on cyber criminality in Cameroon provides there must be an official request from the victim of the offense for a corrigendum before prosecution.
In this case, who is the victim?
Well, let us say
the state?
The state of Cameroon.
Okay.
Yes. There must be a request from the state of Cameroon for a corrigendum before Mimi is to be dragged to court if she does not do so within a particular time frame. Now, these charges that are against her leaves so much to be desired. And like I said in my intro, I find it difficult to understand how those publications actually touches on the security of the state. Now, the interesting factor there is the state wants to give legality to the jurisdiction of the military tribunal. That is why they now talk about the security of the state. You will bear with me that in some few weeks back, one media house actually proclaimed the president of a neighboring country dead. The question is, what has happened to that media house? Has there been any action taken against the media house for propagating false information? Nothing has been done. But the neighboring country has gone ahead to ban the media house from, practicing there. It gives us this from the time of Pius Njawi. Systematically, the government has been, coming up forcefully to crack down on any media house or journalist who does not give the information that they desire. Because that is all about it. If you give information that we like, we praise you. If you don't give information that we like, we condemn you. I want to say here that as far as we are concerned right now, we cannot talk with any certainty as to what charges are against her, because those charges will be put to her on Monday. In the meantime, when you follow the outing of the Minister of Communications, he said two things. He was talking about the state security and fake news. But there is a third one that came from Bonanjo, from the Commissaire du Gouvernement, which the minister did not even mention, which concerns now cyber criminality. So with this state of affairs, we cannot say with certainty what charges are against her. We will only know from Monday when those charges will be put to her so that she can now officially plead to them whether she's guilty or not.
Matt, what is cyber criminality all about?
Good. The trade unionists rightly said, Cameroon is evolving, Africa is evolving, the world is evolving. The internet and social media have come to stay. It is rather we keep abreast with it or we keep fighting it. And I'll tell you, everybody will go to jail. Every journalist will go to jail. Because if we follow what are the law on terrorism and the law on cyber criminality states, you find it difficult for somebody to go to court and come back freely. Now, the state decided to criminalize publications that are made on the internet, via the internet, or the other social media. That is what it is all about. So if you give false information or information that cannot, be justified, charged, for instance, with defamation or, an offense against the state, you'll be charged under this provision, this law. So the first thing about being a journalist is, first of all, you gather information. You disseminate that information. You are protected by law not to disclose your source. First, it is only in circumstances that that source or what you have said is criminal in nature that you may be obliged to now disclose where you got that information from. Somebody is shot in broad daylight in the presence of the family members and maybe an onlooker, because we will not say for sure whether the person who actually gave me that information was an onlooker or just got it from another third party. Now, forwards this information to Mimi, and Mimi publishes it as it is, not stating in categorical terms that this is what happened, because if she wanted to assume full responsibility of that statement, she wouldn't have, indicated a source.
Yeah.
It would have been her publication. But, putting a source there means that this information should, be treated with, some element of, care. You don't just believe it hook, line, and sinker.
Talking about her publications, there's this one which she did publish, being categorical, that Betty Asomo says that the Ambe guys who did the shooting, they were neutralized. And with this one, she did not quote any source.
Yeah, of course, no, the minister is the source, of course. The minister there is the source. And the minister, she is quoting what the minister has said.
That is to say, she takes responsibility for the one which she did publish, right?
Of course, and you want.
Then why should we be here, or why should we be talking about Mimi today?
This is the problem. We are questioning fundamental issues of principle and procedure. Our worry as a trade union is that we are not respecting procedure. To have just taken her first to a military tribunal. What takes a journalist to a military tribunal? Was Mimi caught carrying arms, or did she herself shoot somebody? Or what takes Mimi to a military tribunal? This is, I don't know, the lawyer can help us to explain, but to us, it doesn't make sense. We have institutions in Cameroon that to us should be able to handle issues, press issues. And we think, you asked before, It should be the position of the National Communication Council as it is to summon her and ask her, you know, this is what we have against you for publishing this, even if it was to be against the state. You say so as the professional institution vested with the powers to do such inquiry.
This challenges the office of the National Communication Council, right?
Well, it will definitely challenge. You are in a country where he even is sitting with a suspended sentence hanging over him. So, I mean, brought by a media, a multimedia company. So it's a difficult thing for us to understand. But then, as an institution that truly should take its responsibility, the National Communication Council should not be quiet over this issue because somebody has undermined their function. And I think that as trade unions, with value for such institutions created for that purpose, we cannot also want to sit and admit that the Constitutional Council, that the National Communication Council is an accomplice to this kind of attack on freedom of expression and freedom of the press in Cameroon. As a journalist practicing in Cameroon, it seems you enjoy freedom before expression and not after. Well, it is like that. I think I would dare to say it's like that everywhere. But there are accompanying laws that should help you enjoy the freedom after. The implementation becomes a major issue when we have instances like this. I mean, we should not also admit that we should just be writing anything we want to write without being able to take responsibility. We should admit that. And Mimi has a strong academic background. She has a base. She is known. She has residence. She works for known media places. Why do we treat her as if it's someone escaping from Cameroon overnight? We should not treat her as if it's someone escaping from Cameroon overnight. That's a woman who has been working for the many years she has been working. She has been accompanying government in government action like many other journalists. How come that suddenly overnight she makes something we cannot also look at the good things she has been doing for this country and ask her to do the right thing as permitted by law? We treat her as if she is now an outcast. She is now automatically become an enemy to the state overnight. It doesn't work like that. We are saying that journalists are also doing good work for this country. And each time there is something that somebody considers wrong, let us follow simple procedure. Mimi, the same following she has, the followings have not changed overnight. If she published a story yesterday, I'm not sure that she will the listener or the followers will read today and disappear. The same readers will be there. And that's why for the traditional media, it says publish at the same time, at the same place, you know, maybe follow in the print, same space. So that even if somebody has interest only to read page 3 of the newspaper, the person will come and open to page 3 and will see that same article there. So we should also respect the fact that these are people, she is a lady who has been doing good work. And of course, what in English language we talk about, it could even be a matter. We have not even had time to cross-check whether it was even just a typing error. All right, these are basic things. We should not behave as if this woman is a well-known criminal already established. This journalist is a well-known criminal that has been known for doing this and for doing that. We cannot be at that level. Barister, why should she not enjoy bail? Is it because in the minister's legal proceedings that he presented, he talked about she being prosecuted in a flagrant delicto?
It doesn't mean anything. The offense for which we're still presuming she is to be charged with are bailable offenses. So at the level of the court, we will know, because I'm sure she's got very good legal, counsel. Yeah. Who will raise the question of her bail. Queuing from the trade unionist. She is recognizing, she is established, she's working for a very renowned media house. Yes. So she's not going to disappear into thin air. Now, Cameroon, as a state, regrettably, continuously equally find itself in positions wherein they don't respect their international obligations. Maybe signing treaties or conventions, they do not take into consideration the realities on the ground. Cameroon has signed an engagement not to take civilians to the military court. It is in black and white. So how come that this particular case is going to the military court? It is equally an issue we raised when Bala was arrested. And we said, no, it should not be taken to the military court and whatever. But the military judges are saying that, no, they have jurisdiction because it touches on the state security. At the end of the day, you know as well as I do the outcome. Because Mimi did just exactly what she's supposed to do as a journalist. Give information. It is for us to digest the information. It is equally for us to react to that information. And the question we have to answer is whether we as Cameroonians have reacted to that information in a manner likely to disturb public peace, in a manner likely to affect the security of the state, or it has injured the reputation of whosoever in public service, or whatever.
As a trade union, apart from giving a blackout to government events for this number of days, as you did say, what other measures have you put in place to help her case?
Well, we are banking on the support of many of our legal minds around the country. Lots of them have opted to offer us pro bono services, and for that we're particularly grateful. And we hope that is this kind of synergy that can improve on the respect for media laws in our country. And so the CJTU, that's the Cameroon Journalist Trade Union, will be having a good number of lawyers who are already there. We have also mobilized the littoral branch of the institution to permanently be in contact with her. At least people should visit her. As we speak to you at this time, the national president, Dennis Kwebo, just sent me a reaction that he has been there. And he assures me that for those of us who are in Bamenda who are getting worried, Dennis assures me that she is very courageous. She's receiving a lot of support and that she's not being treated badly per se, you know. And so this is reassuring for us. And as a trade union, we are keeping our ears on the ground. I'm sure that if it persists, if they cannot offer her bail, because like Barister says, the offenses are bailable. If they cannot allow her to get bail on Monday or on the 12th, as the case may be, trust us, we'll be forced to take other measures, which as a trade union, you will not also allow me to start telling you on a TV platform what we're going to do. But I also, we have informed all international structures that are competent, to be able to stand with us on this matter, and we expect that we follow, it to its logical end. You also allow me to note that a trade union has never been an enemy to the state. Our role as a trade union is to be able to help workers work in better conditions and also to enjoy their work and have possibly good pay. And so when you have a situation like this, when a member and an affected professional cannot do her work in the better conditions that we are fighting for, you expect us to stand. And that's why we're standing, and we're standing for Mimi, and we're demanding that she has to be released without preconditions. Of course, the detention, her keeping, and many other things did not respect procedure, and we demand that her release should be immediate, without preconditions, because she's very well established. We know her, and there's no way she can escape from. She can automatically disappear. She has a right to be going to court, if at all. We think that it's a matter that demands her to be going to court every time to go and answer. It's a pity that we're here, but as a trade union, we can assure everyone that we're standing on this subject until the very last minute.
Barister, you've been handling several such cases, or if not, you've witnessed a good number of them as our courts do operate in Cameroon. Is there any hope?
We trust in our judicial system. We trust equally in the actors of our judicial system. However, you will bear with me that when the judiciary is not independent, it takes instructions from the executive. When that happens, there is always some form of compromises which are not palatable at all. But as far as her case is concerned, I think that the judges, as well as the other actors with the counsel that she's having, they will do their best to secure her release, and equally do their best, because it's not only for her to be released on bail, it is for her, for the charges, to be dropped, which is a clarion call that we are giving. Following that, the President of the Republic, in his inaugural address to the nation, give the impression of being a reconciliatory, president, and will want Cameroon to be more democratic. The violation of the right to press freedom is a violation of a human right. It is equally an abuse to our democratic process. So we will encourage, first, the prosecutors, the commissaire de gouvernement, in the military tribunal, to rethink and look again, in the charges. There's nothing that stops him from dropping the charges against her. So we will not even bother to go to court. But if she still thinks that it is a matter meant for the court, then the judges and the actors, counsel, the battery of lawyers that she's got, will do their best to secure her release.
It was a pleasure having you on set, sir.
The pleasure is always mine.
Thank you for always answering, President.
Thank you very much. Just to say that we are acting as if social media is some monster that has been created somewhere and is been tested only in Cameroon is a pity. But thank you very much for having me. There's no way we can have a better country when the press cannot hold government accountable. We must hold our government accountable as a press if we must make Cameroon a better place. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, televiewers, for walking our path. It was a pleasure having you viewed us today, and we pray and put everything in God's hands, trusting in Him that all will be well. It has been the Lamb over WAKA Africa TV. I am Staffman Ambe, Macmillian Hour.